Hey folks, welcome to Crash Landing Science. In this series we're going to use the mod pack Crash Landing on the Feed the Beast launcher and do a little bit of experimentation. In today's episode we're going to go over water. Right now there are 3 different ways to get water from leaves. And I set up a little experiment in creative mode here, and we'll start left to right. The first method we're going to do, in each case we're going to use 64 leaves. I'll turn them on at the same time, and what will happen is the leaves will go straight into a fluid transposer. We'll get some amount of water out of that, and we'll store it in the tank down there. In addition, you'll also get saplings as a byproduct of transposing leaves, and we're going to squeeze down those saplings and get the water down here. So you'll see we have 2 tanks. So we can kind of look at the total water gotten from one stack of leaves. The second way to get water is by placing the leaves directly into a crucible. And that'll smelt down and go into water. So we're going to pump that out and see what we get. And then the third way is to do it through dirty water. So if we compost the leaves into dirt, and then take that dirt and combine it with an empty bottle, and cook that bottle, we'll get a bottle of water out of it. And you can see I kind of set this up with a little bit of automation here in creative mode, just so we can kind of keep processing all the goodies and see how much water we get. So without further ado, let's turn this on and take a look quickly and just understand the different ways of making water. So you can see that we're already producing stuff out of the crucible. The fluid transposers go into town, squeezing the leaves, making water that way. And then in the last method here, we're composting dirt, and it's being loaded up, and it'll take a little bit. And in just a second, we should see it actually produce some dirt here, and move us over to cooking up some bottles of dirty water. So we'll just let this little bit get started here, and then produce some water. And what I'll do is I will come back once it has completed. So let's just see it get some dirt here quick. It's worth spending a minute so you understand the whole process end to end. And this is literally comparing one stack of leaves, 64 leaves, leaf blocks, oak leaf blocks, which you have fairly ready access to in game by shearing a tree. So here we go. So we got our 6 pieces of dirt. It made water. Oops, I never set this as an out. And there it goes into the cooking. It'll cook the water, and then we're just kicking the water out of the bottle and sending the bottle back for processing. And it's filling up the tanks, and I have it all labeled at the other end. So what we'll do is cut here, and I'll be back in just a minute when these sets of leaves all finish up. Hey folks, we're back, and the stacks of leaves finished off. So let's go over the results here. So from the dirty water method, we got a 8.6 buckets, or 8,640 millibuckets worth of water. Okay. From the crucible method, we got 6,400 buckets worth of water. So the difference here is, if you remember, it takes 8 leaves to make a block of dirt, and 1 block of dirt makes a water. So we got a little bit of a gain for converting it to dirt first, the extra step in crafting. And then with the leaves straight into the fluid transposer, you'll note that we got 6,400, and from the excess saplings we got 400. For a total of 6,800. So it's kind of the middle ground case here at the moment. But if you look at leaves, when we put them through a transposer, we get about a 5% chance of getting a sapling out of it. So it's kind of random luck. We might get a little higher than 5, a little lower than 5. In this particular case, we got 4 saplings, because you'll note that a sapling can get exactly 100 millibuckets in water, okay, of water. 100 millibuckets of water can be gained out of a sapling, okay, and if we look at that, we got about a 6% yield, so that's on the high side. Okay, or 6.25% return. 3.2 is exactly a 5% return on saplings, but obviously we can't get 0.2. So now that you know the different ways of making water and what is the best method, I'll leave the choice up to you. Personally, I use the middle tier method here because I find the automation a little less cumbersome. It can be neatly packed in depending on your base. Clearly, though, if you want, the best bang for your buck, dirty water is the way to go. It also, this level automation requires a fair amount of setup, whereas in early game you might be having to stand in front of a cobblestone furnace and do this, or a slab furnace. So there's kind of the, trade-off there, if you will. All right? Anyway, you may have noticed this black wall over here. So the second part I wanted to do in the crash landing water science today is going over how to automatically fill camel packs. Now that we know the ways to get water, I'll leave it up to you to fill your barrel and water source. But what I did in my Let's Play, and there's enough questions in how to accomplish that I thought it's worth just spending a couple minutes going over automating filling a camel pack. So the way I did it is with Steve's Factory Manager. Okay, and this mod is very, very powerful to use. It's capable of moving stuff between inventories around and letting blocks execute their task. So what I used for this, and I kind of elevated it just to make it easy, but the materials you'll really want to have for this, and that I found work best, are 2 inventory relays, an autonomous activator, a barrel or some other source of holding water. I found a barrel works, personally. You'll want a chest to act as an inventory, and then you'll need the machine inventory manager itself. Now, how I set this up for demo purposes here, okay? And we're going to start with just filling the bottle. I have your basic standard interval trigger. You drag and drop that in. It's 1 second. Every second it'll try and pulse this item. I then have a conditional here that looks at our iron chest inventory and checks if we have any empty bottles. If we have an empty bottle, we're going to go ahead and fill it. We're going to do that by putting that empty bottle, or taking the empty bottle from the iron chest via an input command, and we actually are going to, the target doesn't matter, it's just the inventory, and then you want to whitelist the item of a glass bottle, and you can take any amount of these. So we want to send them all over. And then we're going to output that, and you'll notice I outputted it to an autonomous relay, or the relay that is attached to the autonomous activator. And in this particular case, I'm outputting it to the one that's down low here, where my mouse cursor is right now. And this is kind of the tricky technical part of it, but we'll go over it. And what I did is, you'll notice I deactivated everything else, and I targeted the upside of where it's going to output. So it's that inventory relay is pushing it into this block, and it's targeting the upside. You'll notice on the autonomous activator, I have the upside set to input. So those two talk. Okay? And when it finds an empty bottle, it basically puts the bottle into there. So now, if we do not have an empty bottle, I'm checking if we have a full bottle. And in this particular case, I'm using the other relay, so I can talk to both at the same, 2 different relays. So we're looking at this one, and you'll note again that on the autonomous activator, I have the back set to orange. Okay? And the back side of that relay is south. Okay? You'll note I labeled this with the signs to make it easier. I'll leave it up to you to figure out which direction is which, as it's going to be specific to your world. All right? Anyway, so now that we know we're south, what I did is I again targeted the relay. I said you're going to target the south side, which is the south side of the activator is the output. And I said you're going to whitelist water bottles. And I said you can get any amount of those. So we're going to take full water bottles out of there, and we're going to deposit them right back into the iron chest. Okay? And that's it. That's how simple this piece works. So if I put in we'll do 3 empty water bottles. I should be able to put those right in. We'll see them go over to the activator. The activator's right-clicking them against the tank periodically, and then the relay's pulling those back out and depositing them in the chest. So that's step 1. If you want to refill your camel pack, you need to be able to fill water bottles. Okay. Step number 2 now, and this is the tricky part, okay? But it's fairly straightforward. After you deposit your full bottles back in, what you want to do is put in another conditional here, okay? And what I did is I do a check for an empty camel pack, okay? Still in that chest, if we deposit a camel pack, and this is another key part right here. You'll notice I specified a durability of 0 out of 100. To do that, you right-click on when you select your camel pack, and you put a damage value of 100. What that is, the damage value is kind of inverse when you think about it. It's the inverse number. So in a case of a full camel pack, I have 0 damage. I'm 100% full. When I empty it out, I've damaged it 100 points, or it's completely empty. Alright? That's key to note, because that's how I think about it. You can do this a multitude of ways. Once we have a completely empty camel pack, I create an input of our iron chest, and I pull out of the iron chest, I pull a empty camel pack, and I'll pull 4 water bottles. Steve's factory manager has this auto crafter. It'll do crafting for you. And all I did is said craft my empty camel pack with 4 water bottles, and I get a full camel pack. And then with the excess inventories, you'll note that I actually had to specify an iron chest. The purpose of this excess inventories is if you get a second item back from your crafting, it'll deposit it in the chest. So in the case of filling a camel pack, we put an empty camel pack, we put 4 full water bottles, right? And as a result, we're going to get out of that, we're going to get a full camel pack and 4 excess empty water bottles. So that's how the crafter knows to work with it. And then the last step I do with this is I put an output after the crafter of the iron chest, and I whitelist a full camel pack, completely full, and just one of them. So that way, if you do not do that whitelist at the end, I found, it actually takes and tries to pull the empty camel pack back into the chest as an output before it's completely crafted. So that whitelist just kind of slows it down and makes it do the appropriate thing here. So what I'm going to do quickly here, and folks, what I'm going to quickly do here is look up the command to get myself an empty camel pack, and we'll be right back. And folks, welcome back. I figured out the command to do this quickly. I learned something new. I'm just giving myself some camo packs that are empty. Okay, and you'll note, now that we have this crafting thing hooked up, as soon as I put this into here, it should detect it and fill it right up. And it went and refilled the water bottles for us. So the water bottles are completely filled as fast as we can do it. So it's as simple as that to automatically refill your camel pack. If you guys watched through my playthrough and you want to see more specifics of how I did something, by all means, leave comments, likes, questions, send me PMs, and I will put together a science video regarding that topic. Anyway, thank you for watching this, and I hope you enjoyed. Remember to leave that like or comment if you got more questions. We'll see you soon.